Okay, we have a Mercedes here. First thing I will start off with this car is the rear view vision is absolutely superb. There's absolutely no obstructions to the vision in any shape or form whatsoever. The side mirrors, there's ample size there, no problem seeing where you've been. Instrument cluster, not obstructed by the steering wheel. It's also a very attractive layout, very elegant. Center console, although it initially looks a bit confusing and it looks like there's a lot going on there, I can assure you that once you're familiar with the center console and its functions, you can quite easily operate this without taking your eyes off the road for too long. The braking system on this car feels superb. We can apply gradual pressure, no problems at all. Braking system feels very balanced, synchronized and in harmony with all the other wheels. The steering is very taut. I wouldn't describe it as heavy, but rather than feel the union between the steering wheel and the power steering mechanism, I really do feel that I'm connecting with the road, and that's an experience I don't find very common in modern cars. So it's nice to have that connection with the road. There's no anaesthetized barrier there. Very taut steering, in fact, very taut. I really do feel I'm in control of this car, which is great. Now, if I give the car a little bit of a wiggle test, to be fair, it is a little bit of a slapper. It does roll around a bit. So what we have here is the shocks built for comfort rather than sports drive. I think personally it's better to sacrifice and lose the comfort for the extra firmer ride, because this is a large car, and I know for a fact, even though it's Mercedes, if I was doing 70 miles an hour down the motorway and I had to suddenly swerve out of a lane, then would the car complement my intentions as I'm driving, or would the boating and the rolling around and the meandering of the vehicle cause me to lose control of the car? It's a difficult situation, but the only way to get a real idea of how a car is going to behave is to literally take it up to speed, which we're doing now, coming up to 60, 70 miles an hour. In fact, I'll stay at 60, I think it's probably better. 60 miles an hour. Now, to give the car a little bit of a wobble. And I have to say, the car really does meander around like a sidewinder through the sand. So I know for a fact if I had to do a swerve in this car, the car is going to be difficult to control. And it's a bit of a disconcerting feeling, to be quite fair. I would definitely recommend a firmer shock system. Definitely a firmer ride. Now, this car, the transition through the gears is effortless. It doesn't... I'm not even aware of the gear change. Up and down is that good. As far as power goes, it's not the most powerful of Mercedes. Now, if I put the car into sport mode, it doesn't make any difference to the shocks at all, so it is purely for the gearbox. And yet again, foot down, I'm not really feeling any change there at all, so I wonder whether that's a significant feature. In this case, I imagine it's not. But so far, the best thing about this car is definitely the steering, and then I'd say the brake system comes second. Interior-wise, there's quite a lot of plastic, and I've seen this more and more in Mercedes now. A lot of Mercedes obviously have the stitched upholstery, but this is the plastic version, and it does let it down, I'm afraid. Contrary to common belief, there is different grades of plastic, and although this isn't the cheap and tacky plastic like you get in a Nissan or a Japanese counterpart, it really does feel rather cheap, and I have to say it diminishes a lot of the Mercedes essence. Okay, we have a 0 to 60 test coming up. The conditions are damp, the roads are wet. 3, 2, 1. Very big lag there, very big lag. I noticed that quite a lot in Mercedes. Gear transition fantastic, and 60. Fantastic gears. The gearbox on these Mercedes is absolutely superb. Now, no better way to find out what it's like on the corners than to go around a roundabout. Now we're doing 20, 25 miles an hour. Let's see how it feels. Oh, it's leaning over quite heavy. I must admit the shocks are yet again letting this car down. It's very top heavy. Very top heavy. In fact, it feels like it's got a roof rack on the top which is fully loaded. So if you're thinking about buying one of these, yet again, I would stay away from this particular model and go for something with the sports shocks, unless you want to upgrade it yourself. The difference that will make to the driver of this car is fantastic. This car is so well built together. It's got great brakes, it's got great steering, but the shocks are letting it down. And the shocks are only like this for the comfort of the vehicle. If you can make a concession and do away with this soft, boaty riding, which is like sitting in a Citroen, you're going to have a car which handles so much better. Now all that remains for me to do is a brake test, which I'm looking forward to because the Mercedes are always very, very good. I won't be doing an emergency stop. I'm just going to be braking very firmly to get an idea on how the calipers work, whether they're in synchronization, whether they balance, whether there's harmony, and most importantly, whether the brakes grabby. Now, 3, 2, 1. Well, that is superb. There's no doubt about that. The car perfectly aligned. You can feel everything working on each individual wheel. Perfect synchronization. I tell you, when it comes to Mercedes, they just get the brakes right, you know. Mercedes, BMW, Range Rovers, you've got to have the brakes, best brakes on the roads at the moment. Superb. There is no problem at all with those brakes. You could apply those brakes going around a corner and still maintain control. So, the only negative point about this car is a bit of plastic going on. We don't like that. Diminishes the prestige of a car. And these shocks, they're just way too soft. Now the car's done 100,000 miles, so maybe it could do with a new set, to be fair, but you want to take that into consideration if you're thinking about buying one of these. Another issue is there is a terrible lag on the kick down. I mean, I'll do it again now. 3, 2, 1. Doesn't really go anywhere for a little while. I don't think there's a lot you can do about that. That's a trait of Mercedes these days. And the steering's pretty good, but there is a little bit of play there, so you might want to put your attention onto that when you're taking one for a test drive. But generally speaking, these cars are superb, and it's certainly a very comfortable car to drive, and it's a car that you can quite easily drive across France and Spain, and you're not going to be fatigued by the car at all. It is a driver's car. I wouldn't say it's the most enthusiastic of drives. It's a little bit unresponsive, but the quality is there. The driving quality is there too. And all in all, you know, this is probably about as good as you can get around this price range. So this car to me would get about 7.5 out of 10.